welcome. We're so glad you're here. We're excited to bring you another Blue Circle Health cooking class. I sure hope you enjoy it. I had a blast the last time, and I'm really looking forward to hanging out with Rita and learning more about food and nutrition and diabetes management and all of that great stuff. So with that, let's do some quick introductions and then some housekeeping, and then we'll get started. So Rita, do you mind giving us a brief introduction?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Rita Rubin. I'm a diabetes educator and dietitian here at Blue Circle. And I don't live with T1D, but I've worked with people living with T1D for about 28 years now, and also taught a ton of cooking classes over that time, in person and virtually. So I'm so glad that you're here. This is one of my favorite things to do. So welcome.
Thank you, Rita. And my name is Scott Johnson. I'm a senior manager of community here at Blue Circle Health. I've lived with type 1 diabetes for 44 years, and I just really appreciate you allowing me the honor and privilege of hosting today. In terms of agenda, we've got a couple of delicious sheaf pan supper recipes that Rita will guide us through. Today we're preparing a lemony chicken sheet pan supper with broccoli and potatoes. And for a vegetarian option, Rita will share a roasted chickpea, green bean, and tomato sheet pan supper. I'll send both of these recipes, the files in the chat in just a moment. And then, of course, I'll also include them in an email along with today's recording a few days after the webinar itself. Before we get going too far, I do need to cover some quick housekeeping items. We welcome and encourage you to use the chat feature along the way. It's a great way to share with the group, and I'll keep an eye on it throughout the session if you need anything. We'll have plenty of time for questions as Rita takes us through today's recipes. If you have questions or you want to share, just let us know in the chat. And if you want to discuss something with us, I can push a few buttons on the screen and bring you up on the screen with us. But don't worry, your camera will stay off. Well, that's, no one likes a surprise camera cameo, right? In terms of additional housekeeping, I do need to share that this session is being recorded. Participation in this event is completely voluntary. You may choose to leave at any time. Participation may reveal your identity and any identifying information that you share with other group participants. For example, comments in the chat or during discussions. And then finally, we're not providing medical advice, individual or otherwise, and may refer you back to your healthcare team for detailed and individualized answers. Okay, I know that was a lot. Thank you for your patience with me. Let's get started. I will stop sharing my screen here and we'll bring Rita's cameras front and center. And Rita, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Again, welcome everybody. Like Scott said, we're making two really easy, fun recipes tonight they're sheet pan dinners, which is just like it sounds. It's a dinner that you put together on a baking sheet and it all goes in the oven, and it's super easy to put together and really versatile. You can change up all of the ingredients, and they all really contain everything you need in a nice meal. So there's some protein, there's some carbohydrate and starch, and then there's some veggies and then some sort of flavoring. So it's super easy to do. And so yeah, we're going to do a vegetarian version and a chicken dish. And another thing I like about sheet pan suppers is if you have people in your family that eat different ways, that you can make two different sheet pan suppers really easily and quickly to satisfy different tastes and needs and things like that. So we're going to start with the chicken dinner first. And for this one, I used chicken thighs and broccoli and potatoes and lemon, some oregano, salt, and pepper. So it's super, super easy. And the chicken thighs, you can use chicken thighs or you can use chicken breast. Either one is fine. But I find that the chicken thighs, they cook and they stay a little bit moister when you roast them They've got a little higher fat content than a chicken breast, but you can use chicken breast too. You just might have to change the cooking times up a little bit depending on how thick the meat is. And these are also bone-in chicken thighs. So you might notice that chicken thighs are a little bit less expensive if they're bone-in versus boneless. So that's, an option. You can do either one. Just know that the bone-in chicken thighs take a little bit longer to cook, like 5 minutes longer to cook. So you want to just adjust your cooking times for that. And Scott also we put together a handout for you that you'll be getting on estimated cooking times for different ingredients. So proteins, starches, and veggies. So you can create your own sheet pan supper. And just keeping in mind that the cooking times for the different ingredients so that they all turn out about the same at the same time. So with the chicken dish, we actually have to do kind of a 2-phase cooking process. We're going to start with the chicken and the potatoes, and then we're going to add the broccoli after because it doesn't take as long to cook as the chicken and the potatoes. So let me just set this aside and we'll chop up the potatoes. What's really cool about a sheet pan supper is you can put everything on the sheet pan and mix it all up. You don't even have to add you don't have to have any extra bowls or anything like that. And so it's really fun that way. And so our potatoes, I'm using some red potatoes. You can use any kind of potato for this recipe. I happen to like red ones and Yukon Golds when I roast potatoes because they've got a little bit more moisture to them and I think they roast nicer. But if you have a russet potato or any other kind, it's absolutely fine to use them. So with the potatoes, I'm thinking about how long they're going to be in the oven. And the chicken it's going to take about 35 minutes to cook total with the chicken and the broccoli and everything. So I don't want to cut my potatoes too small because then they'll burn or they'll just get too soft. But I don't want them to be too big because then they won't complete cooking by the time everything else is done. So about 1.5 inches, 2-inch pieces, something like that. You don't have to go crazy with this or get out the ruler or anything. Just like a normal size red potato, cut it in quarters. That's what I'm doing. Not actually, maybe eighths, depending on how big the potato is. And a little bit of trial and error. If you're trying your own sheet pan supper, you just sort of see which combo works well and what the best cooking times are. And all of a sudden, you'll just get it down. But again, use that handout that Scott will send out to you, and that'll give you a really good idea where to start. So I'm curious if anybody has made a sheet pan supper before. And if you have, tell me about it. I'm curious what you've tried. I'm just throwing these potatoes on the feet over here.
Yep, and I'll keep an eye on the chat. If you have made a sheet pan supper or tried one, let us know in the chat.
Yeah.
And I did send out both of the recipe files and that suggested cooking times document. So those should be there in the chat for you. Please let me know if you have any trouble with those. And as Rita mentioned, I'll also be including those in the email with the recording after the fact. So far, no experience with chicken sheet pan suppers or otherwise. So this might be the first time. Oh, it looks okay. We've got a few things coming in here. Feta cheese and tomatoes with Greek olives, kielbasa, onion, pepper, sheet pan. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yum, that's perfect. Those all sound delicious. So we're doing a feta cheese one here tonight, actually. There's feta as an optional ingredient for the garbanzo beans. It's something you wouldn't think you could roast. But it's really good. Yeah, I really like it a lot. I have done sausage links cut up with potatoes and fresh green beans. Nice. Sounds amazing. So you guys are already experts in this sheet pan supper stuff. So I'm also going to cut up a lemon. And so the lemon adds a lot of flavor. It adds this beautiful color. And, because the juice kind of seeps into the ingredients. But once it's roasted, you can actually eat the lemon because you cut it in thin enough so that the lemon rind caramelizes a little bit, and it actually makes it a little sweet. So you can take like a little bite of lemon rind with your chicken and your potato and your broccoli on your fork, and you get this nice little pop of flavor in your mouth. It's really, really delicious. And it also is really nutritious. So the lemon rind contains a whole lot of fiber and also a chemical that's found in plants called flavonoids. And those flavonoids are really helpful for lots of different things. They help to reduce inflammation in the body. They are antioxidant in nature. So they're kind of like the medicine in the plants. So if you like the lemon rind, just eat it. It's super, super good. I'll throw that over there. And I'm going to bring this back. So we've got the chicken thighs and the potatoes and the lemon. And now I'm going to put on some oregano. This is just a teaspoon of oregano. And some salt. And some black pepper. And then some olive oil. And again, I'm going to toss everything together on the sheet pan. So this is the fun part and the messy part. So you can also do this in a bowl if you'd like. And so very often if I'm roasting things like vegetables and things like that, and I need to toss them with olive oil, I'll put them in like a bowl with a cover on it and just shake it. That's a really nice way to coat everything really evenly. You don't have to put too much oil on things to coat them nicely. Or like in a big gallon-sized Ziploc bag, you can do the same thing. Throw all the ingredients in there and shake them up. I don't have a big enough bag or bowl for the chicken and the potatoes and everything tonight. So I'm just going to dig in there and toss it around. And I'll try to put the the lemons on top of things so that the flavor sort of seeps in. But if they're on the baking sheet, that's okay too, because they will caramelize, like I said, and develop all this really nice flavor. And a little bit about a sheet pan. Basically, it's just a baking dish with a rim on it. That's it. And they come in different sizes. This is a larger one. They come in even bigger ones for commercial kitchens, but this is a nice one because it fits like in most people's ovens in their kitchens. And when you're filling your sheet pan with your ingredients, one of the keys to roasting things is to not overcrowd it too much, because if it's too crowded, things won't be able to brown really well or cook evenly. So I like to spread things out as much as I can so they're not too squished in there too much. So I just need to wash my hands. Wait. So this is going in that 425 oven, 425 degrees, and that's going to be in there for 25 minutes. So here we go. Another thing about those chicken thighs, I leave the skin on them if they're because the skin actually helps keep everything moist as well. And if you don't want to eat the skin, you can certainly take it off and toss it after it's cooked. But if you leave it on while it's cooking, it'll keep everything nice and moist and tender. So while that's cooking, I'm going to start the garbanzo bean dinner. So I have to grab my other sheet pan here. And this one too, where I'm just going to mix right on top of the sheet pan. And I really, these are two of my favorite sheet pan dinners to make at home because we have vegetarians and non-vegetarians. And so I can put both of these together for the same meal for everybody. And they both cook about the same time. And there's really, really similar ingredients too. So it's a great way to um, kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. It's not, that's a terrible phrase, isn't it? Yeah.
We got a comment mentioning that these type meals are also amazing for meal prep as well. I think that's a great point.
Absolutely. Yep. hmm you can make them up ahead of time. You can eat on them all week. It's a great way to cook. So I've got some garbanzo beans here, and these are ones that I cooked fresh from dried beans, but you can also use a can of garbanzo beans, and which are also called chickpeas. So you'll either see garbanzo beans or chickpeas. So either one works just fine. If I use the canned ones, I would just rinse them off because they get rid of, like, sometimes there's like just a little flavor in the canned ones that I'd like to get rid of. So I just rinse those off pretty well. And then with the fresh made ones, these are cooked from dried, and they often can be less expensive than canned if you buy the dried ones. And if you have either a crock pot or a pressure cooker or an Instant Pot, those are great tools for cooking beans. And my favorite way to cook them is to soak them overnight, and then I use a pressure cooker, and they cook in like 10 minutes. So it's really easy to make them. If I didn't soak them, I would put them right in the pressure cooker, and they'd cook in like 20 minutes. So that's a nice tool if you're cooking dried beans from scratch. Or if it's a crock pot, put them in the crock pot. I would definitely soak them if you're doing a crock pot. Soak them overnight, and then I think it's like cook them on high for like 4 hours, maybe. I'd have to look that one up. It's been a while since I looked it up, since I used my crock pot for beans, but there's definitely lists of those online too for approximate timing for cooking things in the crock pot. So I'm just going to drain these guys a little bit.
We've got some fans of the fresh dry beans, saying well, yes, it does take a little longer to cook, but that they like them that much better. So thanks for sharing that.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about the beans that you like to cook and how you cook them. I do think that they have a different flavor when you cook them from fresh, from dried, and you can also add your own flavors to the cooking liquid. So I usually put in like some bay leaves, some garlic, whole garlic cloves. I'll throw in some salt and pepper, something simple like that. But it adds another layer of flavor to the beans that wouldn't get necessarily in a canned product. And so my beans are a little bit damp, and I'm just going to dry them off a little bit. So with roasting, it's nice to have your ingredients kind of dry. If they're kind of soggy, the roasting won't happen so much, and the ingredients will just steam. So you'll have a harder time getting your ingredients to brown. So with the beans, you just want to pat them dry a little bit. I mean, don't be crazy about it, but just kind of get any obvious extra moisture off of them, and they'll be fine. I'm going to set this over here for now and get the other ingredients ready. So we're going to add an onion. And onion takes a little bit of time to roast. Has anybody noticed that? Have you ever cooked an onion or roasted an onion and noticed that it takes like a little while? This onion had a little bad spot in the middle, so I'm taking it out. Because onions have a lot of moisture in them. So they're going to take a little longer to roast. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to slice the onion sort of thinly so that it cooks a little bit faster. If you put in real big chunks, it might, everything else might be done, but the onion might not be quite done. It might not be roasted enough. So I don't know, these are maybe 1/4 of an inch thick or so slices. And you can use any kind of onion. Since it's just our typical, regular yellow onion, you could use a white onion, you could use a red onion. Whatever you have handy will work. And I'm just slicing it in half this way, and then slicing through it this way to make those thin slices. Good enough. So got onions going on there. And then I'm also going to slice a lemon. So the same idea. The lemon will add this really nice bright flavor to your dish and also a whole lot of nutrients. So beans are a great source of protein and also a great source of fiber and carbohydrates. So they're kind of like the all-in-one food, right? You get fiber, you get protein, you get carbs. And but the fiber is really interesting in garbanzo beans. So you've got a particular fiber called soluble fiber, which is really helpful for lowering cholesterol. Also slows down your digestion a little bit so that you stay fuller longer. And the garbanzo beans also have a phytochemical. Gosh, I wrote it down because I can never remember the names of these things. Sterols. They have plant sterols. Yes. So plant sterols are just phytochemicals in plants that help your body naturally lower your blood cholesterol. Because plant sterols block the absorption of cholesterol from your food. So all beans actually have sterols, but garbanzo beans happen to be a really good source of it. And tons of fiber. We've got about 12 grams of fiber in a cup of garbanzo beans and about 14 grams of protein. So it's such super nutritious foods. So I'm going to scrape those onions and lemons into the sheet pan here. And then I'm going to add some these are grape tomatoes, or you could use cherry tomatoes. No prep involved. I'm just tossing them on the sheet pan. It's so easy. You know, kids, if you got little guys at home, this is a great sheet pan dinner. I noticed your granddaughter there, Scott. So yeah.
Yeah, she'd have a blast. This looks amazing. She would have so much fun doing this.
Yeah, just dump it all and then mess around with it. It's really fun. So I've got all this. I'm adding some oregano, so just similar ingredients as the chicken sheet pan supper, but I threw in a little bit of crushed red pepper. Also, if you have cumin or cumin seed, that tastes really nice with this dish. Sprinkle it with a little salt and some pepper, and I'm going to put some garlic in here too. If you have garlic powder, you can use that. Or if you have fresh garlic, you can just chop up some cloves. Okay. What are your favorite bean dishes? Does anybody have something they'd like to share with us? And I'm curious if with T1D, if you've noticed anything like how beans might affect your blood sugars. If there's any difference with any other kinds of carbs that you eat. I'm just curious if anybody wants to share what your experience may be.
I'm a big fan of like hummus, which is from chickpeas, right? So hummus is delicious. And I also have to admit, I'm a pretty big fan of most things that are around like a bean and cheese burrito. I don't know, like, of course, there's, I don't know what kind of beans are often used in those, but yeah, I'm a fan of beans, partially because I'm not that big of a meat eater. I don't eat much meat. And so I enjoy that I can get some of the protein from bean options.
Right. That is a great vegetarian source of protein. Absolutely. And yeah, there's nothing better than a bean and cheese burrito. It's like a combination made in heaven, I think. Yeah. 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 Looks like a comment. I love to take a few different cans of beans, a lot of seasonings, a can of tomatoes. There's more to come. It sounds like a good combo so far.
It says also with that fresh tomatoes and then warm it up to make a nice chili. That sounds delicious.
Oh, delicious and so easy. Yeah, canned beans are just easy food too. Really easy. So I threw my garlic on there, and now I'm going to toss this with some olive oil. And then I'm going to get in there and get messy one more time. Oh, I forgot an ingredient. What happens on live TV? I forgot the green beans. So you can make it just like this without the green beans, but the green beans are really good. So let me talk about the green beans. Just have to wash my hands again. So this is really fun. You can use frozen green beans with this dish. They work really well. These are just a frozen bag of green beans, the long uncut ones, but you could use the cut up ones if you'd like. And if you use the frozen ones, you just want to defrost them. You can defrost them in the microwave or in your fridge or on the countertop or something like that. So you don't want them to be frozen when they go in the oven. And then just like I did with the garbanzo beans, you want to pat them dry because there's a whole lot of moisture in frozen green beans. So they work just great. And then if you happen to have fresh green beans in your store, you can use fresh ones too. And I absolutely love fresh. And I found some in my grocery store. So I think I'm going to use them instead. And you don't have to get fancy with these guys. I just chop off the ends and put them onto the pan hole. So either way, works just fine. I haven't tried it with canned green beans, but I think you could probably do it. You just would do the same technique as you would with the garbanzo beans. You just want to pat them dry. And you probably would want to put them in maybe on the last 10 minutes of cooking, maybe, because I don't know how they would roast. Has anybody tried roasting canned vegetables? I haven't done it, so I'm not sure how they would turn out.
I have not, but yeah, let us know in the chat if that's something you've tried.
Yeah, I think it's possible. You just have to dry them off pretty well because they tend to be a little soggy and they may not roast, they may not brown a whole lot. Yeah. So other vegetables you could put with this, you could throw broccoli on here. That would be yummy. You could put some sliced up bell peppers. That would be great. We go with the flavors with the rest of the flavors in the dish. Trying to think what else. Maybe asparagus might be interesting. Maybe not. I don't know if the flavors will go well. Yeah, if you have any other ideas about what veggies you could throw in this sheet pan, let me know. All right, now I'm going to throw this on.
We got a comment suggesting squash. I think that's something that you've talked about that before. Yeah.
Yeah. You thinking like a summer squash? Are you thinking like a zucchini or a yellow squash or like a winter squash? Curious what you're thinking.
Yellow squash, zucchini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be good. Yeah, I think they take a little longer to roast too. So you'd want to slice them kind of thinly. Because it might be like an onion. It takes a little bit longer. This sheet pan is too crowded, so I'm going to take some things off. If I had it on my bigger sheet pan, it would be just fine. But I want these to turn out for you, so I'm just going to take a few of those things off and give them a little bit more room to roast. Okay. So I'm going to put this in and we're going to check the chicken. That is looking pretty good. It's getting there. So any thoughts or comments so far?
We've got a comment about using different types of beans and having different flavors and different kind of seasonings that you can play with in this type of a dish.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Tell me what your ideas are. I just love the combo of oregano, cumin, coriander, crushed red pepper. That's a really nice combo with the garbanzo beans and the chicken. You could also use dill. Just dill and garlic and salt and pepper would be really yummy. And you can also finish these off in the end with fresh herbs. So fresh herbs don't roast or cook very well, but at the end you could toss, if you like in the summer, if you've got some fresh basil, you could throw that on top of the garbanzo beans. That would be really good. Or some chopped up cilantro would be great, or parsley. But you want to wait until they're done. You wouldn't want to put that in the oven, because it would wreck it. So let's talk about broccoli. And I'm going to add this in a minute, and then I'm going to take those garbanzo beans out and throw the feta on top. But broccoli is an amazing vegetable. It's packed with fiber. It's got about 2.5, 3 grams of fiber in a cup, which is actually quite a lot for a vegetable. Pretty good. It's in the brassica family. So there's this whole family of vegetables like cabbage, Brussels sprouts, collard greens, mustard greens, bok choy, kale. Did I say that? So all of the brassica families are really, really packed with nutrients, and they have a nutrient called sulforaphane, which is a potent phytochemical for fighting cancer. So that, the more brassicas you can get in your diet, the better. They're particularly good at fighting breast cancer. And there's been studies where they've shown that after eating a certain amount of broccoli in particular, and broccoli sprouts, which are even more packed with sulforaphane, they monitored the sulforaphane content in breast tissue, and it went up for several hours after eating that. And then they've shown in tests on cancer cells outside of the body that the sulforaphane goes right in and takes out the cancer cells. So they're really, really, really nutritious. It's plants with medicine. So if you like broccoli, eat more of it. And so I've got my broccoli already prepared here. All I did was just chop them up into little florets. And you can also chop the stem if you'd like and cook that. You just have to peel it. So you would just take your knife and chop off the hard outer skin, really, of the broccoli stem, and then cut that broccoli stem into chunks, and then you can throw that in with the broccoli florets, and they taste delicious. They're actually a little bit even more sweet than the broccoli florets when they roast. So you don't have to throw anything away with the broccoli. How many of you like broccoli and how many of you don't? You can be honest.
We've got some fans of broccoli in the chat, and family members saying, "Hey, mommy, I want some tree or some baby trees."
Yeah. Yep. Broccoli trees. Yep. So with my broccoli, I'm going to put it into this Tupperware here, and I'm going to use this to toss the oil, because broccoli is particularly hard to toss and coat with oil because of their tree-like nature. So I'm gonna just do it in this dish. So I like to do it in the dish or in a Ziploc bag, because it just coats them more thoroughly, and you don't have to use as much oil, and it's not as messy. I'm just gonna put the top on out of the shake. Does anybody else do this? This is kind of fun too for the kids. You can jump up and down, dance around. I don't know if any of you cook with your kids, but it can be a great way to get kids interested in food and trying new things if they're in there preparing it. What do you guys? Yes, with a Ziploc bag. Yes. Yep. So, yep. That works really well. And it's going to toss a little bit of salt and pepper on this too, and we'll shake it again. There, we'll pop up a little garlic. You don't have to add garlic to this, but I like to add garlic to most everything I eat. So I'm going to slice up some garlic. And you don't have to chop this really finely. You know, when you're roasting it, you can really kind of rough chop it or slice it because if it's too small, it might just get in there and burn. So I usually just take the garlic and just slice it. Not too thinly. Or just roughly chop it like that. And then we'll put this on top of the chicken. Grab our chicken. You can see it's all, look at that. Isn't that nice? It's all roasting very nicely. And yeah, it's looking good. And smells really hot. So I'll throw on my broccoli and toss that around a little bit. Spread it out. Also, you know, when you're roasting things, you might notice too, things that are on the edges will sometimes cook a little bit faster than things in the middle. So if you have time and the desire, you could always put the things that are a little bit bigger on the edges. But don't worry about it too much. I used to be very picky about those things, but I'm not anymore. So, all right, this is going back in the oven. And I'm going to grab that. We're going to grab garbanzo beans. Then I'm going to throw on my feta.
And Rita, did I catch that you did the garlic right away with the garbanzo beans, but then you did the garlic afterwards with the chicken, right? And that's because you're kind of balancing the different times that all the different items need to cook, right?
Right. Yep. So they the garbanzo beans take a little bit less time to cook than the chicken. So you can put the garlic in right with the garbanzo beans. So I'm just crumbling up feta. So you can get feta in lots of different ways. This is just one way. It's in this little package. Sometimes it's in like a little plastic tub. Sometimes in specialty stores, you'll find it in like a big, like 5-gallon bucket in brine. You can lots of different ways to buy feta. And it's either made from cow's milk or sheep's milk. And so if you have a problem with cow's milk, sheep's milk sometimes is tolerated by people who can't tolerate cow's milk. So it can be a nice cheese to try if you're okay with. If you can tolerate sheep's or goat's milk, you can get feta, but you have to look and make sure it's at sheep's. And I think that's it. So I'm just going to pop that back in on the bowl.
We've got a comment about another favorite vegetable being cauliflower. Is there, how might you mix cauliflower into something like this? Sure. Egg.
Absolutely. Cauliflower is another one of those lovely brassicas that contains the sulforaphane and lots of other nutrients too. So yeah, cauliflower you could just substitute for the broccoli with the chicken. You could also put it with the garbanzo beans. I think it would be delicious. Yeah, cauliflower is kind of one of those foods that takes on lots of flavors. So if you add a lot of spices to it, it'll kind of take on those flavors as well. Let's see, what else? Any thoughts or questions while we're cooking our pan?
Another fan of roasted cauliflower. When you guys mention cauliflower, I've used some like riced cauliflower to help bulk up things, mixed it in with regular rice as well, just to sort of reduce my carb count and things like that. I'm not quite ready to go all in on the riced cauliflower instead of rice, but when I mix it together, it's a step in the right direction, I think.
That's a great idea, Scott. So do you cook them separately and then you mix them together? That's a
Cook them
great
separately
idea.
together.
Yeah. Yeah, the riced cauliflower is great, but it's cauliflower.
Right,
It's
exactly.
it tastes like cauliflower.
Yep.
But it's a nice texture though, similar to rice. Yep, that's a great idea. I like that. I no bolus needed. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Roasted cauliflower steaks with Mediterranean spices. That sounds amazing.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Cooked
Yeah,
cauliflower with chicken before. Yeah, all that sounds delicious.
yum. I'm curious how you make your cauliflower steaks. I've seen them where you kind of cut the cauliflower in slabs and then you can put them on like the grill or you can put them in the oven. But yeah, tell me more about your cauliflower steaks. I want to know. Um, that's how I did it in slabs in the oven. Cool. Cool. Did you marinate them or season them in any way? Cauliflower also makes a really great pizza crust. And
I've done that too. Yeah, I've not cooked it, but I've ordered it at a place that offered cauliflower crust for pizza, and it was quite nice. I enjoyed it.
it is really good. Yeah, I mean, pizza's like all about for me the stuff on top, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I love cauliflower crust pizza. I did a show once with little kids and we made cauliflower crust pizza. It was so fun. Um, but it was just cauliflower and cheese and egg and some spices, I think. But
It's great.
yeah, it was fun. It's a little bit labor intensive, but if you have children trying to help, it's great. It's a great recipe for them.
Yeah, we might need to try that too. We've got a great comment about the new ideas and those new ideas helping you just kind of think in new ways and different ways to eat things that you maybe haven't been eating before. And I agree with that. I love that. I love getting some exposure to things I maybe normally wouldn't try or that I just don't know very much about.
Right. Yes, that's wonderful. Great comment. And that's what I love about cooking classes is it kind of just introduce you to new ideas. And, really my whole goal for these classes is maybe, teach you some skills, give you some ideas, but overall make it easier to eat well and live well with type 1 diabetes. And so the recipes are, easy and affordable and um yeah, just anything that can make it easier, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I have to admit, I've always been a bit sort of intimidated by cooking. It's not something that I normally thought of myself enjoying, but as I watch you, and thus because I just haven't had a super big interest, right? So I wouldn't sit and watch a cooking show or anything like that. But the experience of having you sort of guide me through, and I could see what you're doing, and hearing you talk about all the different options and things like that, especially with something like these sheet pan suppers where if I didn't like green beans, I wouldn't include green beans, or if I didn't like the grape tomatoes, I would just leave those out. And so you can really customize it to suit your tastes.
So much. Yeah. It's one of the easiest meals to do that, to be versatile. Absolutely. I think I saw a comment, Scott, about the cauliflower steak seasoning.
Yes. garlic, nutmeg, coriander, cumin. Yeah, that sounds delicious.
Delish. All right. Sounds good. It's grilling season coming up too, so
Yep,
I,
that's right.
you could probably throw that on the grill too and get those nice grill marks on it, and that would be delicious.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. I'm gonna grab I did pre-make what the quiche dish here, and because just in case something goes wrong in the oven.
Yeah,
But this is how the chicken dish turns out. So you've got the broccoli gets all browned, and the chicken and the lemon slices are yummy. And this is just a smaller. So if you cut your recipe in half, you just wanted to make a smaller amount. This is just a cake pan. And it roasts really well in that too. So that's what that looks like when it's all done. And then the garbanzo beans. Um, also you get that same browning of, the tomatoes get all sort of smushy and browned, and the feta gets a little brown, and the green beans, and it heats up really nicely. The feta um gets a little hard when it gets cold, but if you heat it up in the microwave or in the oven or something, it softens up again. And um yeah, it's just like you took it out of the oven. So halloumi cheese is really good to put in the oven too.
oh, interesting. I'm not familiar with that kind of cheese.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really soft cheese, really creamy, and it's not as salty as feta, but it does roast pretty well. I've heard that. I want to try it. Yeah, yeah, halloumi. It's Haloumi, I think is that's how you spell it. That's good. It's good. So yeah, I got a few more minutes. A few more minutes here and a few more minutes in the oven.
What might someone want to think about if let's say they're preparing this just for one in a smaller sheet pan that they might cook in, like a toaster oven versus a big full-size oven. Is that possible, or what would
Sure.
you think about as you're doing that?
Yeah, yeah, you could use that it's basically a little mini sheet pan in a toaster oven. It's got size. You just have to scale down the ingredients, that's all. But you could still roast it at, this is at 425. I think toaster ovens get up to that temperature too. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's super easy. Yep. Just scale it down. I think the recipes are pretty easy to cut in half. And then if you wanted to even quarter the recipes, you certainly could. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Toaster oven works great. Hmm.
Yeah, that's great. So, folks, if you have questions, let us know in the chat, or if you want to join the discussion, certainly raise your hand and I can bring you up on screen. But yeah, these look delicious,
They're
and
good.
I think yeah,
Yeah.
everyone sounds like they love what they see.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, I have all this food, so my family's coming over for dinner,
Nice, that works out well.
so we can all eat it. I wanted to tell you something about broccoli too. You probably you've seen sprouts in the store, like alfalfa sprouts and maybe like different kinds of microgreens and things like that. But they are so nutritious and so easy and affordable to grow your own sprouts. And broccoli sprouts are super, super nutritious, and they're really tasty. They have like a little bit of a bite to them. So do radish sprouts too, but really easy to make. I have some soaking here. So this is just 2 tablespoons of sprouts in water, and all you do is soak them overnight, and then rinse them really well. And then I have a little sprouter thing. Uh, I just pour them in here. It's just a little mesh sprouter. I put the seeds in here, and they set it on a plate. And every day, every 8 hours, I think you have to rinse them off really well. And uh, and in about 5 or 6 days, you got a whole thing of broccoli sprouts.
Wow.
or any other kind of sprout that you want. You can also grow them in a mason jar. You just have to get a top. Instead of the regular top on the mason jar, you can get just a mesh screen.
Hmm.
Because you want to be able to rinse them and pour the water off. That's a really important part. You have to rinse them every 8 hours with cool water, and then you kind of shake them until they're just damp, and just keep them on your counter. And then after about 3 days, you stick them in the sun, and they'll green up, and you got like these great fresh greens. It's costs about 25 cents for a cup of them, So, I get my seeds from a company called Sprout People, and they've got some great ideas, and they're really affordable. It's not expensive stuff, and they
Yeah.
tell you exactly how to grow them all. So it can be a really nutritious addition to your day.
Yeah, that's great. I'll be sure to include a link in the email that we sent out.
Yeah, so
Forward.
Sprout People. I think if we find ways to add nutrients to our meals that are easy and affordable, it just really increases our health and wellness. And sprouts are a great way to go.
Yeah. Got a comment about never liking onions. I am with you on that. I am not a big onion guy. Started eating sauteed onions in February. That's great. Good for you.
And how are they? What do you think?
Yeah, let us know how you like them because like you, I'm trying to work on broadening my food horizons. So I've always avoided onions, but maybe I need you give me hope that I can try and learn to like new things.
Yeah, and trying things cooked in different ways that's really, really smart, Like try them sauteed. Raw onions are pretty strong. I don't particularly like them raw. But when you saute them, and especially if you saute them a long time, they get really sweet. Same with roasting. Yeah, so good for you for trying some new stuff.
Delicious, and she went back for seconds. That's amazing. Yeah, I should try that.
That's great.
Pickled onions, and they're interesting too. Yeah.
Pickled? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Your broccoli takes on a whole nother character when you roast it. So you may not like it like steamed or, boiled or something like that. But if you roast it, it gets that little caramely flavor. It gets kind of sweet. And one of my favorite ways to eat broccoli is I roast it and then I put a bunch of grated cheese on top.
Ooh, yeah, that sounds nice.
Broccoli. Yeah, it's really good. So yeah, it's a good way to get broccoli into people. You put cheese on it. It's good. I'm going to check my food. Hold on a sec.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. In sort of using the word camouflaging the food is not quite the right thing, but if you are able to combine something new or something that you aren't sure about with something that you like, it can help you get over some of that resistance to trying those things.
Yeah, sure. Or if it's something tastes like if you're trying like a darker lettuce or in your salad and you think it tastes kind of bitter, put it with a milder lettuce. Like say you like iceberg, but you don't like romaine. You could throw a little romaine in with the iceberg, and then maybe put something sweet in there, like some grapes or something like that. That helps to balance the flavors, and then you might find a way to add like a new dark green into your diet that way. Or I'd use a dressing that's real flavorful that you enjoy. Here's the chicken. It looks amazing. I think it turned out perfectly. Look at that.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah. Nice, huh? Those potatoes are nice and brown. The broccoli, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a little bit of caramelization on it, and the chicken looks perfect. So, and then the lemons are all melted into the food. Wouldn't that look great?
Yeah, that looks amazing.
Yeah. And the chickpeas are not quite done. They're taking a little longer, but I'll pull them out anyway. They're almost done.
And so when you're looking at that, what are you looking for to see whether they're done or not done?
Well, with the chicken, that's a good point. With the chicken, you want to get it so if you put a fork in it, the juices run clear, or you can use a thermometer, a meat thermometer, and it's supposed to read about 165. That's when you know the chicken is done. That's important.
Yeah.
Um, with the veggies, I'm just looking to see if they're browned. So you can see with these, the tomatoes are starting to melt. The onions are nice and soft, but they're not browned yet. So I'm gonna stick it back in the oven until everything looks a little toastier and browned.
Yeah,
And
sounds good.
we could certainly eat it this way, but you're not gonna get that nice extra flavor from the browning. So that's going back in the oven. And sometimes, things take a little longer to cook if you've got two things in the oven than if you just have one. So the
Sure.
time should be a little bit different.
Yeah, good. Well, I think that we let that cook a little bit, and in the meantime, we get to vote on next month's recipe. So I am going to bring that screen up again, and I'm also, right, so there's that. I also have a poll that we can launch. So you can pick, what do you want Rita to teach us next time? We've got Mom's Best Vegetable Soup and Easy Italian Wedding Soup. And other option is three bean salad and cold Asian peanut noodles. So feel free to either respond in the poll on the screen. You can also, if the poll is, you don't see the poll, you can just type in number 1 or 2 in the chat message. So far, it looks like Mom's Best Vegetable Soup and Easy Italian Wedding Soup is in the lead. We'll give that another minute or two.
Make my mom happy. It is my mom's soup.
Yeah, that's it's adds a little bit of authenticity to it. I love that.
Yeah, with the recipes, send your ideas. So the salads were from a suggestion from somebody last month that said they wanted to learn how to make they wanted some salads that weren't lettuce based. So yeah, if there are, different styles of cooking or different, particular meals, anything that you want to focus on, just let me know.
Yeah, and we'll there should be when you close out of the class today, there should be a survey that pops up for you, and you can enter in information there. I'll also send all of this information out in a follow-up email in a few days, and you can just reply to the email or enter information in I'll link to the survey again there too. But yeah, so far it looks like the Mom's Best Vegetable Soup and Easy Italian Wedding Soup is still in the lead. So
Okay.
yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Somebody says roasted carrots are really yummy they get caramelized and you put some balsamic glaze on it. That sounds delicious.
Yeah, it does.
Yum. Warm
Of soup,
Yeah.
warm salad, quinoa. Yeah.
Quinoa. Yeah, quinoa makes a great salad, doesn't it? It's one of those grains. It's a high protein, high fiber grain. Seems to impact blood sugars less than some other grains. And you can eat it warm, and then also I think it refrigerates really well. It's one of those grains that doesn't get kind of hard when it gets cold, like rice does. The quinoa actually stays nice and moist. Yeah, I agree. Yep, yep, yeah. All right, I'm gonna check those garbanzo beans one more time.
Yeah, sounds good. Just looking at time, I'm going to move into just some quick closing. Get the slide on the next one there. All right. So just wanted to give you a heads up about more upcoming events. So this Thursday, March 13th, is the monthly group session in Spanish. And then on Wednesday, March 19th, we'll host a webinar with Sherry to talk more about T1D and exercise. So keep an eye on your email or text messages for those invites and reminders as those dates get closer as well. Yeah.
Be-
Yeah. Do we want to wrap up with the chickpeas? How
Sure.
are they look still?
They're almost there, but I'll pull them out.
Right. I'm gonna stop the screen share so you can get a bigger, better look at the.
You know, so a nice hack is if they're not browned, put them under the broiler for a minute or two. Just broil them. Yeah, so I think I might put the broiler on just so they can brown a little bit better. So yeah, they're done. They just got to get a little brown. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Hey, Rita, this has been amazing. A very, very fun and informative class again, as always. And, again, everyone, we really appreciate you attending and sharing your time with us, learning more about nutrition and food. It's just such an important part of living well with diabetes. So you should be proud of yourself for being here. We certainly are. And I hope to see you at one of the upcoming events. And then again, finally, depending on how you join, you may see that survey. Let us know what we can do to make these even better for you. You need to change anything, we're certainly happy to do that. Rita, thank you so much. This was a delight. You're such a pleasure to watch and learn about this stuff. So thank you.
Well, yeah, and thank you, Scott. As always, you're just the most amazing moderator. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm just so glad that you're here, and hope to see you next month.
Sounds good. And I'll get the follow-up email out in the next few days here. So keep an eye on that too. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.